Good day, everyone. This is Pineleaf Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and on the tabletop. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Dracula.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome, Drac. And let's head into the news, at least what little we have.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll begin with Update 32 Hotfix 1, the release notes for that, so therefore it didn't take them long to have a hotfix.
Yeah, and there really wasn't that many issues to fix, but they did fix an issue that could prevent progress from going on in the Secret of the Slaver Stockade. That was if you killed some enemies while located outside of the cabling room, the quest would not progress. That is now fixed. Also fixed an issue that could cause the map object required to complete the Secret of the Slaver Stockade to disappear if you leave the room after completing the end fight. That is fixed as well. Vampirism, Vitality, and Kenneth crafting shards are no longer giving out true Shing shards instead. So, okay. I know there were some people that kind of liked the fact you were getting true Shing shards, but sorry about that. Okay. And then they also fixed an issue that could cause the game client to crash when filtering for Featherfall, Underwater Action, and Death Blocked in the Kenneth crafting UI. Oops. That's kind of weird that just like filtering out for those would cause it to crash. My guess is it was some kind of database error probably that was causing it to crash. I guess. I don't know. That's just kind of a weird issue, but it's now fixed. And the big one, I think, is the mythic heroic loot is no longer appearing in the legendary versions of the Against the Slave Lords quest. So I know a couple people on the forums were talking about that. They ran it on Legendary Elite, and they got a regular mythic heroic loot.
So what does mythic mean?
Mythic is, what it's supposed to be is mythic is supposed to be the higher end tier. That's if you run the legendary, that is supposed to drop. But what was happening is the heroic version of the mythic item was dropping. So the regular version was dropping in the legendary quest instead of the mythic version.
Okay.
So they were running it on the super, super hard legendary elite and getting the same reward you would get if you would run it on like regular elite. So people were like, hey now. So that's fixed as well. And the only other thing that was fixed is an issue that I didn't even notice, but apparently some people did. The server select scroll bar in the launcher is now its correct green color.
What color was it?
I have no idea. Never paid attention to it. Apparently it was supposed to be green and it never was, but now it's green. So, and the crowd goes wild, I guess. Yeah, I have no idea. To tell you the truth, I didn't even realize it was colored. Because I just thought we'd scroll down, pick my server, and go. So, that shows you how much I pay attention to the select bar. So, yeah.
Well, I know that, at least in Lotro, it's green if the server is open and red if the server is closed. So I would presume the same coding exists for DDO.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I said, I've never paid attention. So,
all right, let's look into a poll. And no, this is not one of our polls. This is actually a poll posted by Cordovan on the forums. And the question is, what would you prefer for the 11th anniversary? Ooh, we're getting closer to the 11th anniversary.
Well, next April, yes, we will.
Yeah.
And he did put this. Cordovan does say, and I will quote him here in his post. We know this can be a tricky thing to ask because folks might read more into this than intended. But we've been mulling over various plans for our next anniversary and have a, quote, this doesn't mean we will 100% do it, end quote, question. So there's your caveat. The question they're asking, and the poll is open on the forums right now, is assuming Tiefling and Aasimar are going to arrive in a later update, would you prefer a Kobold-themed anniversary with a playable Kobold race, or a Dragon-themed anniversary with a playable Dragonborn race?
Now, my question here is, when they say a playable Kobold race for an anniversary event, is this some sort of session play thing?
They did not state if it would just be for a dungeon you would go into, like a special, dungeon that you could only do the Kobold in that dungeon, or if it would be a race that you could use all of the time and it would just release during the anniversary event. It's not clear, but I know on When Sev and Cordovan were on the Damsels of DDO, they were mulling over actually creating a kobold race to play. So that would be something to consider, but I don't know.
But it sounds like that I'm in a minority on winning a kobold playable race because the poll seems to be rather definitive.
Yeah, which really surprised me, but it's as of our recording, which is Monday night on September the 19th, we have 65.59% for the Dragonborn race to a 25.8% on the Kobold race, which that really shocked me. And all the kobolds are feeling very sad about this, too.
You not like kobolds here? Now you know how kobolds feel when you go in their sewers. Kobolds never forget!
See, I'm really shocked, actually. I am totally shocked that people want Dragonborn. I don't get it. Don't get the Dragonborn race. Never did. Never understood it.
I don't know. When I think of Dragonborn, I think of ESO.
Yeah, well, that was brought up too because there was people that were like confused. It's like
Dragonborn.
This is not Elder Scrolls. This is not Skyrim. Why are you bringing the Dragonborn?
Yes.
And I'm like, no, people. Dragonborn were around way before ESO was.
Yeah, well, that is true. Yeah,
Dragonborn is not an Elder Scrolls thing, people.
Well, it means something different in Elder Scrolls than it means in D&D.
So I don't know. So, and then if you go on the forums and like read this thread, there's some people that are like getting really worked up about this whole thing.
What, I mean, by the people who are in favor of Dragonborn, the ones who are in favor of kobolds, or both sides?
Both sides.
Okay, I guess the people with Dragonborn, they want to be able to breathe fire. Is that it?
That would be pretty sweet, though. But yeah, so I guess we'll see what happens. And then once again, as Cordovan did say himself, this doesn't necessarily mean this is even going to happen. They're just kind of mulling over ideas and what they're going to do for the 11th anniversary. And I know Seb at one point, I think it was when he was on one of the Ask the Devs on DDO cast. I think he did say they were mulling over the option of having just like a totally big like kobold dungeon and something to do with kobolds. And then of course they brought this up, and then it's like, this thread's getting a little heated actually too. I mean, people.
Okay. Well, from all the fire the Dragonborn.
Yeah, exactly. So go over on the forums and speak your mind. But either kobold or Dragonborn. Which would you like to see?
I'm just trying to imagine a dragon wolf, a dragonborn that's a druid.
Hey, there you go.
Breathing fire.
I'll come back as dragon and kill you for your stuff.
Well, yeah, that's the other danger, though.
There you go. We need a kobold dragonborn. Problem solved right there. You're welcome.
Now, apparently, Severland, though, did give a quick note that a Kobold theme anniversary would far more likely have kobolds as quest givers rather than kobolds as adversaries. Now, was this in order to try to encourage the numbers up for kobolds?
Well, if it was, it didn't work.
Yeah. All right, let's head into the DDO Chronicle issue 206, and that, what was this, to celebrate Pirate Day or something?
No, that is the Secrets of the Slaver's Stockade. That is to celebrate the new quest pack, Pineleaf.
Okay.
I guess that guy does kind of look piratey, though, so I guess I can see why you said that.
Well,
he is sort of piratey, I suppose.
Yeah, just because this time of the year people all get piratey.
That's right. In the community spotlights of our Chronicle, Talos, however you say it, is using math is hard, to get the most out of the new Kenneth crafting system. So click over and check out if you want to get all crunchy and all mathy.
You're saying math rather than mats?
Yes, math.
Okay.
As in 2 + 2, 4 + 4, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah. He's really like digging into like the math behind the crafting system. The dude is nuts. I was kind of reading through this and I'm like, wow, this guy is really getting into his crafting. So
right.
check that out if you want to get the most out of the new Kenneth crafting system. And Certain is playing DDO in 4K. So check that out. What this is the guy has a 4K monitor. He's playing DDO on his 4K monitor. I have to say, it looks mighty pretty, but the only issue I see with it is the UI scaling is way off. It's really hard to read the writing.
Okay.
But it looks darn pretty.
When you say 4K, you mean 4K pixels from horizontal?
No, 4K that's the new HD standard is 1080p 4K. Are you not up with the tech times, Pineleaf?
I suppose not.
Pineleaf. You don't watch the Goonies, you don't watch Labyrinth, and you don't even know what 4K is. You're dead to me again, Pineleaf. Good grief. In the fan site news section of the Chronicle, DDO Cast is taking a look at the different gloves that you can get and what the best gloves to wear at the best levels are. So click over and hear what they have to say in that exciting episode of DDO Cast. City is building his Pale Master Trapper, so click over and learn about his Pale Master build. Another great build from City. He is doing some awesome jobs on his builds. And Even Note finds out that her Bank Bard is a little bit stronger than she expected it to be. So click over and read her latest blog entry to hear about her Bank Mule that's actually a pretty decent character.
Okay. Well, at least City wasn't talking about a bank character.
No, that's it. And then the Chronicle comment for the week. If we have short swords and we have long swords, why don't we have medium-sized swords?
Maybe we do, and they just call them other names.
Ooh,
because since you don't need a name to specify its size, you use a name to talk about other features.
See, that's Pineleaf logic for you. That's some serious Pineleaf logic. I got nothing to back that up with. I'm just going to move on to the screenshot of the week in the Chronicle. This is the 286th DDO screenshot of the week, and it's posing in precarious places provides a picturesque panorama in our 286th screenshot of the week. And thanks for Muncho for sending that in. And that was a lot of P's right in a row to say. That was hard to say.
Yes, a little bit on the alliterative side. But then you know the Pineleaf saying concerning that matter.
I do not. Go ahead and share with the audience.
There's no such thing as too much alliteration.
Big build up for that, really.
All right, let's head into our store sales. Anything wonderful for sale this week?
Not really. Oh. Well, maybe if you're into crafting, I guess. It's a good crafter sale, 25% off the Heroic Shroud ingredients, crafting storage upgrades, crafting experience elixirs, and the crafting success boosters. Pretty well-timed sale to go with the new Kenneth crafting system. Coincidence?
Plan.
Not. And then our free sample of the week through the 22nd is the Random Collectibles Crate ×1. Use the coupon code RANDSUM, which is RANDSUM. One of those per account, as always, so choose wisely. And you might be asking yourself, what the heck is a Random Collectibles Crate? That is a new item they have added to the store with this update. You basically get random collectibles out of it. You can buy the crate, you click on it, and you get random collectibles to use in crafting. So you can get one free, so you can see if you actually want to buy them, but don't spend your TP on them. Did I say that out loud? I don't think that was out loud.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Then let's head into Update 32, Against the Slave Lords.
Bum, bum, bum. I needed some cool, epic music to play right there, but I didn't have it right. Yes, it's out. So we have you and I have ran parts 1 and 2.
Right.
I have actually ran all 3 parts as of now, though. So what are your thoughts on at least part 1 and 2 that you've seen since you haven't seen 3?
Well, first of all, I have a feeling that one of my previous GMs was very, very sneaky.
Okay.
And the reason why I think so is because the name of that boss we had at the end of part 2 sounded very, very familiar to me.
Okay.
Even though none of the places we went into looked in any way familiar, so I could only imagine that my GM took the Slavers module, took characters from it, and created his own scenario.
So you've never actually ran the module, but you faced some of the...
I was wondering, because I knew I had gone through an entire Slavers adventure campaign, but the modules you're talking about didn't sound familiar whatsoever. Anything in there described. I'm wondering, how does this fit together? When I heard the name of the boss at the end of part, I'm sorry. She was our nemesis throughout our campaign.
That's awesome.
So, yes.
Sneaky dungeon master.
He created his own campaign using material from the Slavers. Just in case, I guess, anyone knew it, he knew the thing itself. He just created his own storyline set in Greyhawk.
That's awesome. Yeah, for me, I like it. I like what they did with it. I think they did really well translating the classic modules to the game. There is some parts that they had to change, but that does make sense because, you're taking something from pen and paper and you're moving it into a video game, so it doesn't always translate well. So there's certain parts that, they had to change a little bit for the game, but I like what they have done with those. I like the inclusion of the bear trap, actually. I was happy to see the bear trap stayed.
Oh, yes, that bear trap.
Yeah, that was a pretty classic moment in the module. That actually was changed a little bit from the module, but not too much. In the module, the actual roaring sound that you're hearing is actually the bear, the stuffed bear as it's moving on the track. It's making that noise that sounds like it's roaring, but it's actually just like the train going down the track that it's on.
Uh-huh.
So that they changed a little bit, and Travis Willingham just cracks me up. He's like, roar.
Yeah, roar.
Roar. You got to wonder how many times he had to sit there and record.
Roar.
Roar. What if I say it this way? Roar. So, yeah. So, I like his DM work, of course. I think he did a really good job. But overall, I really like the quest. I think the challenge is just enough to where they should be. I don't find them too easy. Some of the bosses are a little bit on the hard side, personally, I think. But I think that's okay because they're bosses in a dungeon, so that makes sense. Overall, I like it. Good job. I'm happy with it. I can't see myself grinding it specifically for the items to craft the craftable stuff in there. I don't think I will do that. I might, but I doubt it. I probably will run this dungeon several times on all my characters, though. I do enjoy it that much. But I just don't know if I'm going to actually take the time to grind for the collectibles to make, to upgrade the rings and the collars and everything that you get out of there. Not sure if I'm going to do that, but I'm keeping this spoiler free because since Pineleaf hasn't done part 3, part 3 I think is the best of the 3. There are some interesting things that they did, some interesting things that they changed, some things I'm happy to see that they kept, but we can't talk about it because Pineleaf hasn't done it yet.
I guess we have to talk about it next week.
We will, because we're going to run it Wednesday night. So, and I can't wait to see you in a couple spots to see your reaction. So it should be fun. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, it is so far challenging. I'm finding it. Of course, I'm still not familiar with all the places. I had quite a few surprises in there, and my own trip through there, I'll save for when I get to my week in there. But it was very definitely an interesting adventure and a challenging adventure because, let's face it, I've been through the temple enough times where I'm starting to understand where everything is. And I can't say it's easy yet since I've still not beaten the last boss, but but yes, the Slave Lords is quite a challenge in there. So then let's head into our site news. And we begin with DDO Players News interviews designer-publisher Gil Hova.
Yes, I had a little chat with Mr. Hova about his games, his philosophy on game design, and why in the world he wanted to start actually publishing games and create a game company. And then we also talked about podcasting and conventions, and we just talked about a little bit of everything. So it was a really interesting interview. If you were into game designing and publishing of games at all, I definitely think you should listen to this because Gil has a lot of things to say about those two subjects because he has been in the game design and publishing world for quite a while now. So he is a pretty interesting fellow to talk to about that. And he likes to talk. We actually talked for a lot longer than I thought we were going to, but it was just a fun conversation.
Yeah, I looked at the length of that interview there, right? When am I going to be able to fit this in?
Yeah, it ended up being like over an hour, which I had no idea it was going to be, but it was just an interesting conversation. So check that out and check to get. And it's funny because he actually talked about how when they are designing a game, he puts a lot of thought into the size of the box as well. Because people, well, I don't want to spoil too much out of the movie, but basically what it boils down to is he said people will buy games based on the size of the box, believe it or not. So just it's a interesting interview, and he really talked about some stuff that I, as a game consumer and a game buyer, have never thought about that game publishers and designers have to think about as they're designing their games. So very, very thought-provoking. So check that out. It's over on our website now.
And speaking of Gil Hova, DDO Players has posted a review of The Networks.
Sorry, Bonnie in the chat is saying box size matters? Yes, box size matters, Bonnie. There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm going to leave it go. Anyway, yes, The Networks. That is the new card game from Formal Fare Games, which, as you said, just happens to be Gil Hova. And what this is you are starting out with 2 cable access shows, and you decide to start a television network, and you are working to build your network up from your 2 little crappy public access shows all the way up to good primetime shows. At its core, it's a card drafting management game, but it's a lot more than that because it ties itself in well with the theme of running a TV network. It's pretty easy to learn, very challenging to play though, because there's a lot that goes into it. You have to decide, okay, would this show work better at this time slot? Would this star does better, at this genre of show, but I already have a star for that show. So should I drop that star and add this star? Or should I put this star in another genre where he won't get as many viewers, but I'll get more ad money because it's that star? So just all sorts of things tie in to the decision that you have to make as you're playing the round. And you play for 5 seasons, i.e. 5 rounds. And it's a really fun game. The best part is some of the names of the shows they have. Like there is one, elderly people yelling at people. That is a show that you can have. You can have a show called Chainmail Bikini Warrior. Yeah, it's great. It's very tongue-in-cheek, and it's just very, very fun. I enjoyed it a lot. Very fun game. It is The Networks by Formal Ferret Games.
And in the list of the 2016 nominees for the National Toy Hall of Fame, it includes in its list Dungeons and Dragons. And when I look at the list of the nominees for this year, I'm wondering, are you telling me that all of these games have not yet made it into the Hall of Fame?
I know, isn't that crazy? Like Clue. I mean, come on. How is Clue not in the Toy Hall of Fame? That the full list is Care Bears, Clue, Coloring Books, Dungeons & Dragons, Fisher Piper, try that again, Fisher Price Little People, Nerf Pinball, Rock'em Sock'em Robots, The Swing Set, Transformers, Uno, and everybody's favorite, Bubble Wrap.
Yeah, this is like Uno has been around for a long, and pinball.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, Toy Hall of Fame, you're slacking here, people. You're slacking. But yeah, I think it's cool to see Dungeons & Dragons actually put up with all these other like great games.
Okay, I see some of these things here. Okay, but the Atari 2600 game system is already in there.
As it should be.
I mean, okay, I can see Alphabet Blocks. That is deservedly already in there. Now, Bicycle, which was inducted in 2000. I'm wondering, does that really count as a toy?
Well, sure. I mean, you play on it, so it's a toy. And they do say to be recognized by the Hall and to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, the toys must have lasted across generations, influenced the way toys are designed, are played with, and fostered learning and creativity through play.
Okay, well, that's why I'm surprised it took until 1998 for Lego to get in there, considering that it seems to really hit all. Or is that one of the earliest years for it? Actually, 1998 seems to be one of the earlier years in there. That's when they started it.
Bonnie B on the chat is just saying, well, of course, they're obviously too busy playing with toys to nominate stuff.
All right. Okay, now I see. It looks like the Hall of Fame only goes back to 1998, and so therefore there are a lot of great toys that have not had a chance to get in since then. And the winners of this will be announced at the Strong National Museum of Play on Thursday, November 10th. So here's hoping Dungeons & Dragons actually makes the cut. That would be pretty cool. All right. Very well. And it looks like I'm looking at the poll that they posted there. Mm-hmm. And in this poll, Dungeons & Dragons is pretty much wiping the field with the poll results. 70% of the vote. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. And considering the competition, I mean, the next highest one is with the Transformers. Because there's more than meets the eye. It's more than meets the eye, yes. Let's then head into On the Tabletop, where we have some bad news, and that is that Hanjin Shipping Company has filed for bankruptcy, and apparently that is a favorite shipper in sending games across the waters. It is. This unfortunately left about 80 ships stranded out at sea because they were not allowed to dock because the Hanjin company could not pay the docking fees. And there were many, many games upon those ships. Hanjin is actually one of the 7th highest ranked largest shipping container company to get stuff from China to the United States. So as you can see, this is going to have a ripple down effect. They are used by many game companies, comic companies, graphic novels, toys, and a lot of collectibles as well that are manufactured in Asia. So this is going to affect a lot of people. Yeah, we'll see how long it takes things to get settled out, because I received a notice yesterday that notifying us that, yes, our game has just set out onto the waters. Unfortunately... Oh no, don't tell me they're using Hanjin. Oh no. It's a Hanjin ship, and they have no idea what's going to happen when they finish the journey. Oh no. What game was that? That was, let's see, I believe that was Pyramid Arcade. Oh no. Yeah, and the first game that came forward that said, yep, this was one of our games, was on that ship, is WizKids' upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hero Click, Heroes in a Half Shell. WizKids did provide a statement that says, we are in communication with the company and are working on a resolution to retrieve our product. WizKids is one of the many companies that is being affected by the situation, with the reported 85 ships being barred from docking due to Hanjin's inability to pay the port fees. Our only release involved is the upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hero Clicks, Heroes in a Half Shell.
They are still planning on trying to release what they can of it, but shipments are going to be limited due to this. And apparently, as you said, you have a game that's affected. I'm assuming in the next couple days, we're going to start seeing more and more game companies come forward and say, yeah, our game is stuck on the ocean right now. We're going to try to get it to you. So, but I don't know how you would actually go about like doing that if the company that you hired like file for bankruptcy like this and their ship is just out there. How do you get your stuff off that ship? That's a good question.
Well, how much? I'm just wondering is how mismanaged the shipping company must be if they're filing for bankruptcy. Because unless you had a large number of ships sunk in the ocean recently, it's hard for me to imagine a shipping company filing for needing to file for bankruptcy because unless they're mismanaged and complete. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
they're not taking into account docking fees or something. I mean, how much are docking fees must really be expensive, or
I would say they probably would because I mean, if you think about like if you like, have you ever ordered something from like overseas and have to pay the overseas tariff fee that some things get charged? I mean, that can be quite expensive. And that's just for like one item. So I can imagine you have like a whole like freaking ship full of stuff. I can imagine how expensive a docking fee would be.
Well, yeah, there is that.
And Bonnie Bew in the chat is saying that she used to work IT in the shipping industry, and many of the companies will bargain a deal with a terminal for stevedoring fees. But do you know about what percentage of that fee is, Bonnie? I'm waiting for the delay in the chat here. Because I bet it's probably like a flat set fee, like you have to pay X percent of your cargo or something. I don't know how it works, but it's got to be outrageous. Because like I said, I ordered something one time, and I can't even remember what it was. I want to say it was like an imported CD or DVD or something. And that was like crazy what they charged to like bring that in. There was like I forgot, they call it like an international tariff fee or something. And that was like insane. Like I said, that was like one DVD. So I can't imagine a whole ship. So I guess we'll see how this works out. But hopefully if you're waiting on a game, your game's not sitting out there just floating around forever. We'll see.
We'll have to see. And let's head into the other pieces of bad news, at least if you are looking forward to certain games, and that is that Fantasy Flight and Games Workshop has decided to terminate their current collaboration.
That's right. Fantasy Flight did announce the 8-year licensing relationship between Games Workshop and themselves will come to an end. And this is change is going to affect all of the Games Workshop line, which they did post a list of all the games that were affected. And there was one on here that I was like, huh? I had no idea that was a Games Workshop game. The games that are affected of this are Black Crusade, Blood Bowl Team Manager, Chaos in the Old World, Chaos Marauders, Dark Hearsay 2nd Edition, Death Watch, Forbidden Stars, Fury of Dracula, Only War, Relic, Rogue Trader, Space Hulk, Death Angel, Talisman, and of course all the Warhammer stuff. And what this is going to mean is once the products that are in the warehouses are sold out, that's it for the product. Until Games Workshop can find a deal with somebody else, there's going to be no more of those games. Ergo, if you look on eBay, you're going to have a heart attack what some of these things are going for right now.
Oh, boy. Yes. Yeah. And there are one or two expansions and the like that are currently in the pipeline, but they have said that anything that has not been announced is definitely not going to happen. So therefore, they're announcing no new Games Workshop collaboration products.
Right. And Fury of Dracula, did you know that was a Games Workshop game?
I did not realize. I did not realize that the first edition was Games Workshop. Yeah,
it
doesn't sound like their style.
I know it does not. I was really shocked because I thought that was a Fantasy Flight, but nope. And then again, look on eBay at the first 3 editions of that and how the prices have raised almost 50% or more in the past 3 days. Luckily, Amazon has not raised the price on the 3rd edition of Fury of Dracula yet, but they're out of stock on it. I haven't added to my cart. I'm just waiting to pull the trigger as soon as it comes in stock.
The trouble is, though, that if the last copy, because Amazon gets them where they can, and
Right.
if their source raises the price,
Yeah, so far it hasn't gone up yet. So,
but until they
we'll
have
see.
some available, they won't know what to do with it. Yes.
And I know that's probably going to shock a lot of people. It's
I
like,
know.
what? He doesn't even have Fear of Dracula yet? No, I do not. That was always one of them. Oh, I'll pick it up sometime.
Aha.
Oh, yeah, well, the time is now, folks. The time is now.
You great. Then, speaking of times and now, it is time for us to look at our week in gaming.
What did I do in this week in gaming? I did a lot of beating up slave lords.
Whack, whack, whack.
It's pretty much what I did most of the week. My warlock, level 11 warlock, went against slave lords. I did the first two slave pits, the Undercity Secrets of the Slaver Stockade. Didn't have really many problems on that. My level 10 rogue also did, but that rogue did all three of them. That is with my friend who was playing a wizard. That's the wizard rogue combo that we're doing. We went ahead and did that. And see, then again, I can't talk about it because you haven't done the third part yet. But he was pretty excited because it was funny. We had went out to dinner the same night we had did the third one then, and at dinner we were kind of talking about DDO, and he asked me, it's like, so when am I going to get to see a blank, and how about a blank in game? And lo and behold, those two blanks were in the third quest. So it was just kind of funny. He was like pretty excited to see those two things. Then again, I'm staying spoiler free for Pineleaf's sake.
Okay.
People are like, I'm confused. What's a blank? I've never fought a blank before. Is a blank hard to kill? You'll find out. And then, of course, my Shader Kai, still hanging at level 19. Just not wanting to take any more levels on that Shader Kai yet. Still running Devil's Gambit, Grim and Barrett. Still not getting a quiver. Again, nobody shot.
You're quivering with anticipation.
But at this point, I think I can set up IB Helix shop because I have so many of those. Those things are like candy for me. So unfortunately, they're bound to account. But if they weren't, I could just like stand on like a street corner in the marketplace and just start like selling those at cheap prices because I have plenty of them. It's getting to the point now where I don't even like take them out of the chest anymore. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I don't need you anymore. The quiver will come someday. And then my Ranger, who is sitting at 9.5, almost 10. And that's, of course, the one that I run in the static group with Mythery, Subajade, and Rentapone. We ran Crystal Cove since it was back for this weekend for Talk Like a Pirate Day, which is actually the day we're recording this today. So we ran the Cove, ran it about 4 times. And I did get enough ingredients I got the Buccaneer ring is the thing that I chose out of there. Because I was looking at the list of stuff I could get, and I'm like, yeah, the Buccaneer ring sounds kind of cool because it's got the bonus to your swim, and it's the underwater action. So I'm like, hey, underwater action item, I like it, I'll take it. So that was that. Then the only thing I did in game was with you. I shall let you talk about that, as you always do. And then did a little bit of prep for the 5e Dungeons & Dragons Storm King's Thunder, which I'm going to get ready to start. Did some, prep with some work, got some minis around for it, and just making sure I was familiar with the adventure. And there's a couple parts that I'm going to like tweak a little bit. So I changed that. I pulled some sound effects that I'm going to use because I'm starting to use Sirenscape now for sound effects during games. So I got all those around. So ready to go as my friend and his kids going to start running Storm King's Thunder. Next week will be our first foray against those crazy giants.
Ooh.
So what about you, Pineleaf? You want to talk about what we did, and then what did you do in your crazy adventures in Stormreach?
Very well. I will begin with my half-elf warlock, who's level 7. Remember, I've been running the temple with this, and I decided, well, since I got all the way up to our friend Zugatmoy and got killed there, I thought, let me see how I can do with this character in Slave Pits of the Undercity. So since I was only level 7, I decided to run this under casual. I think casual is I don't know what their definition of casual is, but all right. It was quite an undertaking, and in fact, I even recorded this for YouTube. The first 2 episodes have already been posted. And I started out by forgetting to summon the cleric, and I didn't realize you can go back into the start place and do the summoning, which when I forgot to do the summonings when I was playing with Drac later on, he did say, oh no, you can go back in there and do it. All right. So therefore, I didn't realize that in there, so I ran this without a cleric, so I was doing this pure solo, and I went through an entire wand of Cure Moderate runes during this one. I had a full 50 charges on this wand at the start. It ran out by the time I finished.
Oh, Pineleaf.
So I went through that, and of course we had in there a really evil tile puzzle, which I know that Drac understands which one I'm talking about there. And then, of course, I reached the boss room with 11 hit points left because my wand's already run out by this time. I've got no cleric. I have absolutely no potions on me.
So how'd that work out for you?
Boss fight with 11 hit points. You're wondering how I went.
Just, thought maybe you pulled something out of, your...
No.
No.
All right.
Got pwned, did you?
Yeah. So therefore, on my No More luck, with Draculetta, we then headed into the slave pits of the Undercity, where it was a lot easier when you have a rogue going around disabling all the traps in front of you.
Yeah, rogues do tend to make dungeons a little more simple.
Yeah, so we got through that, plus after his reminder in there, having a cleric in order to help heal. So all sorts of that stuff made it a lot easier. And then after that, we went to Secret of the Slaver Stockade. Then on Minecraft, I have a neighbor in this multiplayer world I'm in who decided to put what's, for all intents and purposes, to make a balance beam bridge from near where my base was all the way across this lava ocean. I looked down there and I said, no, there is no way in the world I'm going to cross this thing in this state. So therefore, I turned his bridge there into a tunnel so that there we could have a safe passage all the way across. And there is nothing more intense than trying to build a tunnel out in the open in the nether when you have gas shooting fireballs at you and all sorts of other weird things on there, and you're afraid that at any moment I'll do a misstep and fall to my death by plunging into an ocean of lava.
I think I've said this before, but who knew Minecraft was such a violent game?
It can get so.
I had no idea.
It didn't exactly help the number of times prior to my building this that I saw my neighbor's name pop up saying, such and such fell from a high distance. Such and such tried to swim in lava, meaning died when attempting to do these things. So therefore, yeah. And finally, I have got to say that Labyrinth is the weirdest movie I have ever seen.
Oh my God, did you actually watch it?
Yeah.
No. I'm speechless, I'm just speechless. So, why do you say it's the weirdest movie you've ever seen? Let us discuss.
Well, let me see. Why do I say it's the weirdest movie? Let's see. First of all, let's see. I'm just trying to see. We have goblins all over the place with David Bowie leading them.
He's a goblin king, man.
Yes. We've got someone who lives in a fantasy land, and her fantasy land somehow turns into a grim reality as she's going on through here.
And Gumsgang is saying, I'm glad I was here to witness this event. So see, the chat room's going crazy. You've actually watched Labyrinth, finally. Right.
So that was, yeah.
And Bonnie View saying, oh my God, stop everything. Finally, Labyrinth, stop. See?
Anyway, we currently have 23... Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, okay, so give me a star rating from 1 to 5 on Labyrinth.
A star rating 1 to 5 on Labyrinth. I'm not too sure I could answer that question.
Oh, Pineleaf. Let's see, at least now when I make the labyrinth jokes, you'll actually get them now. So.
Yeah.
It's good. Okay.
We currently have 23 supporters on Patreon. And if you would like to support DDO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest with us here on DDO Players News. And we do have some featured comments from Mock Taskmaster, who left a comment on Fancy Flight Games and Workshop Partways.
Mock says, from what I understood, this was pretty much a given, with no Games Workshop license projects announced in quite a while. I guess what does surprise me the most is that I didn't already know Fury of Dracula is a Games Workshop property. Guess maybe I have to buy it now before it's gone.
Right, which would be about noon tomorrow?
Yeah, pretty much.
Erlock James Ugmeov sent a comment on Turbine, very interested in bringing Ravenloft to DDO. Yum! Juicy! Blood! Sorry, wrong genre.
That's right, it's vampires, not zombies.
Right. And Carlo, a.k.a. Hafael, who sent Titled 100, is this goal of movies he needs to watch before the next 100 podcasts are done? Well, I guess I've ticked one off already.
That's right. So now you got, what, four or five to go? So yeah.
Right. Love the show. Congrats on 100. May our ears be fortune blessed to hear 100 more. Also, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Bonnie for her compilation. It was amazing. One of the few podcasts on my saved list. Salute. Carlo, a.k.a. Hafiel.
And yeah, if you have not listened to the previously on DDO Players News, do it. Bonnie did a great job on that. It's awesome.
Whee! And you can email us at podcast@ddoplayers.com. You could also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf News. The Players Alliance has 4 live shows every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News every Thursday at 8 p.m.-ish U.S. Eastern Time. We have XP Quest every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have Lotro Players News, and on the last Saturday of each month at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Academy After School. You can join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that is it for tonight. And this is Pineleaf News reminding you to quest responsibly.